Hey guys, welcome back for another thought for the day. So today we're gonna be picking up with part 3 of O.I.L from The Last Dance, and we're gonna be talking about assignment. So it's really important that as we are journeying through life, that we understand our assignments. First, our assignment with God, then our assignments in our personal and our professional lives, in our families. We have to understand what our assignments are so that we can show up and be the best people that we need to be so that there can be thriving in this world, so that we can feel like we're thriving. And so assignments are the appointments to a post or to a duty, right? They are what we are supposed to be doing, what we are expected to be doing, because from what we do, things come about. And when we look at The Last Dance, what we can be extremely clear about is that Michael Jordan understood what his assignment was. And he understood it from the beginning. And I will say a lot of times we don't always, or sometimes we may not be clear what our assignment may be when we enter into certain situations. But when you enter into it, you should begin to figure out or ask what your assignment is. Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? God, why did you bring me here, right? But Jordan understood it from the beginning. And we know he understood it from the beginning because in the first episode, they asked him after the draft pick, what did he think his destiny was, or did he think that this was destiny? And his response to the question was, I just want the Chicago Bulls to be a respected team. That was what he said from the beginning. I just want the Chicago Bulls to be a respected team. So he knew going in that his assignment was to make or to push the Chicago Bulls to be a respected team. Now, what makes this so impactful is he never says, I'm coming in for 6 championships, none of that. He just says that he wants to have the team be respected. And in making it respected, because of his mentality, right? Like we talked about mentality already, because of his identity, he then comes in and is able to push and shape something to where we see a team that got 6 championships while a man served 8 times on the team. Okay? For 8 years on the team. So it's really important to understand that assignment really is dictated by where our mentality is set up and where our identity is set up, right? Like you see students get A's on their assignments because their mentality was a certain way and they understood their identity and how an assignment could shape their identity, right? And that's a lot to unpack right there. But in that, it's to know that each person has an assignment. No matter where, no matter how you go, each person has an assignment. And in each person having an assignment, it's to know that some assignments are assigned, right? So Jerry Krause was assigned to create a great team. Michael Jordan was assigned to be a great player. Then you have Dennis Rodman assigned to be a great defender. You have Phil Jackson assigned to be a great coach. In our assignments, we sometimes can fight for bigger assignments, right? So you see Michael Jordan assigned to be a player on the Chicago Bulls. He fights to be the captain of the team. He knows that he has the mentality. He knows that he has the identity to push an assignment further. So sometimes we are given something and we can push ourselves and we can push something further. And I could just stay right there on that, but there's more to unpack. There's also under the importance to understand that sometimes our assignments can shift. So sometimes you can be given one role and in that your assignment is going to shift. So we see that with Scottie Pippen when his foot, when he is out for his foot, that Dennis Rodman then shifts to be Michael Jordan's number 2. Or when Michael Jordan is out, Scottie Pippen then shifts to being the captain of the team. Our assignments can shift depending on the season. Also, our assignments can have assignments in them, right? So when we're in school and your teacher assigns you a 60-page paper, there are things that you have to do inside of that to get to the 60-page paper. You got to figure out what you want to talk about. You have to figure out what is the outline of whatever you're talking about. You got to do some research. You got to write your paper maybe once or twice. You have to ask for feedback. There tend to be assignments inside of assignments. And we saw that with Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan is assigned to be a basketball player. And out of that assignment, we see birthed a brand ambassador. A brand ambassador not just for the NBA, not just for Chicago Bulls, but at times even for Black culture. So it is to know that our assignments can have assignments in them, and we do need to be aware and keen to what that looks like. And so we know from Ephesians chapter 2 and 10, verse 10, that it says, "For we are his workmanship." So God has created us, remember our identity. So we are his workmanship, created in Christ for good works. So there is our identity, right? God has a clear thing that he is calling for us to do, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So our identity is shaped and made and formed, but in that there's an assignment, and God has already equipped you to give you whatever you need, because that's a part of your identity. But we have to walk in our assignments. And 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 17 says, "But as God has distributed to each one as the Lord has called each one, so let him walk." Walk in your assignment. Do what you are supposed to do. And be able to just allow for yourself to be free in your assignment and to just go where is necessary. Now, I'll sit and I'll pause for a second and say, there are times where we are not clear where or what our assignment is. This is why we have to go back to our identity. And in going back to our identity, we go back to the God that formed us, right? So, if you're struggling with your assignment, if you're struggling with trying to figure out who and what is God calling for me to do, take a moment to go back to your identity. What has God equipped you to be able to do? What are the characteristics about you? Are you a freedom fighter, but you love to write? You might be a writer that's going to write the next liberating novel. If you are a nurturer, there might be a call for you to be a caregiver. Like, you have to figure out through your identity, through talking to the Creator, what your assignment is. And when you find out what your assignment is, don't allow for yourself to feel weakened by that, but push into your assignment, because knowing that your assignment, you are capable to do all that you are assigned to do, because your identity has everything in it to get you where you need to go. So going back to Jordan, he says at the beginning of his career with the Chicago Bulls, "I just want to make the Chicago Bulls a respected team." He had the identity and the mentality to get and to complete his assignment. We can all argue, we can all have our feelings about how he was a bully, about his choice and his actions to do what he did. But the reality is, we cannot argue that he did have the mentality, that he did have the identity to reform and reshape a team. And he, in turn, completed his assignment. So, allow for your mentality, allow for your identity to push you into completing your assignments. Don't limit yourself, and don't allow for what you see or where you're beginning in your assignment or what the beginning of an assignment looks like, right? Again, the Chicago Bulls were not a championship team at the time. Don't allow for the beginning of your assignment, the fact that things need to be weeded and changed and reformed, to dictate how you carry out your assignment. Allow for your mentality to be one that is going to push you into where you need to go. Allow for all of what God has formed inside you to push you into greatness and to get all of what is necessary out of you for your assignment.